Welcome to our podcast. It's so awkward that we're not in the tub this particular time. We're in our individual studios, Colorado, Florida, and Arizona, here to talk to you about
Worldwide.
commercial real estate and business. Is that the intro?
That is a damn good intro. That's a damn good intro, man.
Do you want to just use that first one, or do you want me to go again?
No, that's perfect.
Cool.
And then maybe you could introduce us both, like how you met me and how you... I did bring this. This is from the Ritz Carlton in Lake Tahoe. Because I think you saw me knitting and came over to talk to me.
That's right. That's amazing. Wait, you tell the story how we originally met. Tell it right now, and then we'll chop it up.
Yeah, we can chop it up. So I decided to go out to the Commercial Real Estate Influencers Summit. I was on the different lists and thought it would be great to learn. Did not really know any of the people other than online. But I just decided to be myself and just go out there. And one of the things I love to do anytime I don't have my two kids is if I'm on a plane or whatever, I like to knit. So I was just knitting by the fire. He came over to talk to me. And then we ended up having several other conversations over that weekend. And then the next Commercial Real Estate Influencer Summit in New Orleans, we got even closer. And then by this year, he's helping me with my luggage, out to my car in Orlando and all the different things. And we text and we Insta message, and we've done other collabs, and it's just awesome. It's because, he does Eddie does the same type of commercial real estate as I do, families and businesses, but in Arizona. It's like we're twins.
All three of us, we're triplets.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Aviva, do you remember how you and I met?
I don't. I have a idea of how we met.
I think it was on the Tiki-Talkie.
It was definitely on TikTok. I definitely met you and Kyle on TikTok. You two were my intro to brokers who use the internet to talk about our industry. And I think maybe I was talking to Kyle and he was like, you got to meet Eddie, but I don't remember now.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
And then we kind of hit it off immediately.
Yeah. And then we had our text strings, which is always fun. And then we made some videos together, which is always fun. But we didn't actually get to meet each other until this year in person, which is crazy.
But it felt like I already knew you.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome.
I love our little community.
And yeah, absolutely.
It's cool too, is you really know someone. And what strikes me about you both is I like it when people are real on social media. There's some people that put out what they think they want people to see of them on social media, but you are the real deal. I'm the real deal. I don't I'm not trying to pretend my life is perfect. Sometimes it's a mess. And I think it's important to put that out there because otherwise you feel inadequate, in this Pinterest perfect world that, I don't always have my shit together.
Look, the reality is that nobody's perfect. And I think we shifted from this world where maybe 5 years ago, the expectation was a perfect Instagram feed. And I don't know if anybody, I am sure some people liked it, but when we felt that switch from these perfectly curated feeds to short form content and reality, I think it took the authentic folks and really gave them the platform that we've been looking for, where we can actually connect with other people, provide people value. And it's not just this sexy, selfish magazine that nobody really, I don't even really know who enjoyed consuming that. I think that authenticity comes through so much stronger when you're just yourself. And I think people can relate to you a lot better and actually get value from you. And there's some hope in the world with authentic social media.
I love it. I think that's the one thing with this commercial real estate summit. Then I had my podcast, and that this will go out to, but then connecting with other like-minded, authentic people to kind of talk about how to like maintain that mindset. Because there are times, sometimes I do start to briefly think like, what would I think someone's going to think about what I'm going to wear. And then I'm like, don't do that. Don't just be yourself. Don't give a shit. Like, and just do your thing. Be the best version of yourself. One of my clients says, Amy, you're crazy, but good crazy. And I'm just happy to have you as my broker.
That's awesome. I'm going to be super authentic right now because I'm running 2 pages. I'm running my page and I'm running the company page. And I got to tell you, it is so in my head right now because my other business partners are not into what we do, and what they're willing to share and what they're not willing to share is like you talking about what can I post versus what shouldn't I post and what are people thinking. Like my creativity is in the dumps on that page because it's like, I feel like I'm working for CBRE a little bit. Seriously.
Whoa. So let's workshop this. Let's get you out of that funk.
No, dude, it's tough.
Because I just came out of the funk.
Yeah, I really just, I'm normally just go, you know what I mean? Throw a tie on, throw on a swimming suit and get in there and do it. But now there's this professional image side of it. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm the right person for this because that is not my authentic self. That's what I'm battling with right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you have a separate, Aviva, do you have a separate Instagram for the warehouse hotline?
No, and every day I think about the fact that I need to pull the trigger and get it going. But Eddie, fundamentally, when you are marketing, if you do what everybody else does, you will never stand out.
Right.
So as a brokerage, if these brokers are expecting just sold, just leased, like all this run-of-the-mill content, you will never stand out. And the point of marketing, the point of media, the point of social media is to effectively market. If you're doing what everybody else is doing, you can't effectively market. Something I've been thinking of is like, because we do have to dance the line of confidentiality, which is hard and fun and a challenge. But I was thinking of doing like tenant spotlights or like client spotlights. I have been thinking a lot about ways that we can advertise in our business that, first off, help our clients, right? Let's gas each other up for the success that we've done. And I think in the retail space, that's probably some of the more fun and glamorous stuff. So how can we do that and be different, right? Like my eyes roll so far in the back of my head when I see a just leased post. It was like, what in the world is the point of that? But like, imagine getting your clients on a 5, 10, 20-minute podcast after the lease is signed or the deal is done and
I think we lost
talking to them. I think there's ways to explore. Yeah,
you glitched a little.
Yeah, you went out for a second.
But
so get them on a 5 to 10 minute what?
Podcast or see who you can get walking into their new space or talking about the deal because it is challenging.
See, I love talking about the why. Like when there used to be the Susie Orman show back in the day, and she always said people first, then money. That's kind of like my philosophy to commercial real estate is it's always the people and what's the lifestyle, like what's their goal. And then the property is a tool for them to like reach their goals. And so when I do close a deal, I like to tell the story of like, what is it that we accomplished? And I told Aviva the story of one I closed just a couple weeks ago, and the doctor was fine with me putting all out there that I got, part of his spaces, but he had 3 vacancies all of a sudden happen at the same time within his 12,000 square foot commercial condos. And another brokerage just did not get the marketing done correctly. It'd been sitting there. He eventually pivoted to me, but at that point he had been having $20,000 a month go out the door, for these spaces and no rental income coming in. And he was ready to just liquidate and sell. And then I reminded him of how hard it is to acquire commercial real estate. And that wasn't easy for him to find that property in that great location and to just give me a chance. It usually will take 6 months or so to get something leased up, but I'm going to push to get this done in 3 to 4 months. And I got it done in 4 months. And, so we got the first one in and then we can get all the other ones. But I shared that entire story on social media. And I think it really resonates with people. I wonder if people sometimes, and this isn't going to be within your brokerage, Eddie, but do brokers really want to share because did they really do much above and beyond? I mean, was there anything really special there? If you don't have anything special to share, then maybe there aren't any stories to share.
Yeah, I think it's not that. I think it's more that I've been doing this for 5 years now, and being in front of the camera during any circumstance is not awkward to me. But trying to get them to be in front of the camera seems to be the challenging part. But what's funny about it, so I reached out to almost all of our followers, because there's only a couple hundred of them, on Instagram saying, what do you guys want to see from us? Everyone wants to see behind the scenes. Just what do you guys do? What's a cold call look like? What's an average day look like? And that's for me, that's the easiest thing that could be done, because you just go, right? And I think for them, they feel like they're on stage now, which they've never been on stage before. So it's what do we do? Just do what you do.
Yeah.
That's where that authentic part comes in, right? So
when I had a bigger team of agents and now I pivoted, is I would just say, take a picture of your desk and your coffee cup. Like what I texted you guys. I texted you, I'm sitting there, eating my salmon. That would be something that literally I'd be fine putting that on my Instagram page. Here I am fueling, in between appointments.
Smart.
So but I don't know why others don't feel comfortable doing that.
I don't know either, but I think I might be overthinking it.
What do you think about that, Aviva?
First off, I apologize. My internet's a little crappy right now, so that's always a party. But I think, look, I recently went through a social media slump, and I realized I was selling a course, and I realized I hated selling the course, and it made me not want to post on social media at all. And when I killed the course, I finally felt like this weight lifted off my chest, and I finally felt that joie de vivre to post again on social media. So, Eddie, I think you clearly have a block, and I would have a block too if I was trying to run social media for a brokerage who wasn't picking up what I was putting down. I think you kind of have to do some work on yourself to figure out what is your social media block, and then how can you break it down so you can just be yourself again. And maybe that is just being yourself. I don't know the answer, but I want to ask you all a question that relates to commercial real estate. When do you say no to a transaction? Or when do you know when to say no? Because I struggle with that, and I'm curious. Eddie, thank you for raising your hand.
I ask very hard questions up front. And generally speaking, and I did not do this in the past, this is something that I started within the last year or so, because I found myself spending a lot of time, wasting a lot of time. So I know whether or not I'm a fit for that person within the first conversation. Maybe the second conversation, I'll shake everything out. but it's talking about money. It's talking about partnerships. It's talking about all the stuff that the landlord is going to ask that's really uncomfortable to talk about. So I know almost immediately whether or not A, I can help them, and B, whether or not we're going to be a good fit.
I have the same process. I call it BANT, and Eddie and I have talked about it before. So BANT. B is budget. So show me the money, like the Jerry Maguire movie. Like, how much money do you have? Like, how is this going to work? And then, is their budget even realistic? Does it fit within the rent to revenue ratio? All those different things. Actually, I got a call from someone I hadn't heard from a long time. Oh, and then authority, which is like partnerships, how this is all structured, needs. And then timeline. Is their timeline aligned with my schedule? And then I can prioritize them. So, but I got a lead this morning, and he's thinking that he can get a warehouse for like $1,500 a month, and that's not going to happen. Like, the cheapest one you're going to find is like $2,500 a month, even on the outskirts. But right now, personally, because of my children and my family life, I'm more focused just on my core area. And then the rest of it, I either give to one of my agents or refer out. So right off the bat, I can't help him. And so I have on my calendar after this, I have to reach out to the referral source and say, thank you so much. Still contact me for each deal, but this is not something I can help with. And I'll give her the specific feedback too, that it's just the budget is unrealistic. But I think the more you say no, the more that you're able to say yes to other things.
Is that something that you're struggling with right now, Aviva? Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Bro. We lost you.
I'm back. Hey. I'm in a new podcast studio, aka my basement. So I apologize for the inconvenience.
We're just working out the kinks.
You're clear now. I think maybe you just need to get some extenders. You might need to get some Wi-Fi extenders.
Definitely.
Oh.
I think, unfortunately, money is probably the biggest one. I know you want to buy a property, but if you don't have any money, we're wasting everybody's time. And then I think another aspect is just being practical. It's just like you're saying, the person who wants a warehouse for $1,500, first, those don't exist. Second, I'm not going to make any money on this deal. Therefore, my response is, this is outside of the capabilities of our brokerage, but we're happy to refer you to someone who's willing to dig it up for you.
Yeah.
So, but I struggle with that every day, and it's a trip.
That's because you're using Google, right? So you get so many inbound leads that I'm guessing you're having that conversation a lot.
Yeah, I get a bunch of inbound leads. And one thing I will talk about too when she comes back is basically, as commercial real estate brokerage owners, is we have two funnels. One is we're trying to get all of our clients, and then we create a marketing funnel too for our listings. When I break down the profitability, number one, I make the most on selling a building.
Yep.
But sometimes that's not in the client's best interest. So I'm not going to recommend it when it doesn't. But then secondly, when I actually have something for lease, I don't necessarily always make good money on the landlord side by the time you paid for the sign and the photos and all that kind of stuff. But if I pick up a tenant, those tenants are so sticky. They're out there looking, and then you just grab them up. And those ones, last year, we had two $25,000 ones.
Yeah.
So off a sign. I mean, that's good. I call that deer. There's squirrels, deers, and elephants.
That's funny. I've never thought about it that way. I like to defend the brokerage community, but I'm working with two clients right now, and I'm working with them because other brokers wouldn't give them the time of day. And literally, one of the deals, we're going into the same space. And I told the broker, I'm like, hey, listen, they called you 5 times. You didn't respond. I've showed them other spaces. You never showed them the space. they still like the space and they want the space, and we're at lease right now. And it's like, bro, like all you had to do was call these people back, ask them the hard questions. They have the money, they have the experience. It's just you look at some of these smaller deals, and he forewent his double end deal because he didn't call somebody back. So I feel like it's just silly. And I had another guy, I'm not working with him yet, but he owns a building. And he's like, holy cow, Eddie, thank you for texting me. You said you were going to call me back within a few hours, and you called me back within a few hours. He's like, everyone else that I've dealt with in all of my commercial real estate experience, nobody does that. And I'm like, well, I was trained at the Ritz Carlton. That's what I like to do. That's how I try to operate. Every once in a while, things fall through the cracks, but it's like we as a community just need to be on the ball and provide that excellent customer service.
Ooh, that's interesting. I wonder to myself, some of the brokers, not all the brokers, were handed their commercial real estate business. Like we have a lot of generational. And Aviva and I were talking about it in getting ready for like today's podcast is, you know, she's had to kind of like work to make everything like happen. And you have that work ethic. I don't want to say that there's this superiority, but I don't know if there's like a better word, that maybe they don't understand where these small business owners are coming from and like how it means like everything to them. Like I know when I'm going through a business decision, it's in my mind. I sometimes wake up and think I've had like a full work day, like in my head when I wake up. And so I totally get that. Yeah, we should talk a little bit about that. But I wonder if it's like the empathy and they just don't have that perspective.
It's funny that you mentioned that. So I've got a friend that's in San Diego. His name's Jamal Brown, and he left one of the big firms to start his own firm. And he was actually talking about that conversation with his clients, having that empathy, because you're running your own business. You kind of know what they're going through, like those ebbs and flows and all those feelings and everything that comes along with it, versus, like you said, another broker that's just handed deals all day long. It's different.
And I find too, and it's not all of them. Again, there's some really good brokers that are at the big three and other brokerages. I'm not going to say that there aren't. But sometimes it's just a high dollar ticket salesperson, and it's like the person that's selling the insurance, like that, and they are putting people in universal life insurance, which according to Susie Orman is like the worst kind of insurance you can get into. But like some of these, and then they only want to do it if it's going to be like really like lucrative and like have a minimum. For me, I don't necessarily have like a minimum. Like for instance, that the guy I just talked about that had like a smaller deal on the out, if he had maybe multiple companies and this was like one of many companies, and then there was a way to like maybe grow with him. Yeah. So
I'm doing one of those right now.
It's interesting. Yeah.
I'm in the midst of one of those right now. It's not a lucrative deal. It's a relationship building deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Aviva.
But yeah, it takes.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hello.
Thank you for your patience with me.
You're good. We're good. We were having the conversation. We were trying to figure out why it is that some clients have to call other brokers like 5 times. And then they decide to go on Google or social media, and then they find us, and then we actually call them back.
I don't know, but I love brokers who don't call their clients back because those are my clients and I call them back. You know, I have so many people who are like, we don't want to work with the big brokerages. You know, they've been burned before. They want that concierge. They want to be treated like a human and not a cow in a slaughterhouse. And I can provide that for them, make a living, and they keep coming back.
And, Eddie, I didn't know you used to work at the Ritz Carlton. See, I've been working since 13. My first business was cleaning houses. I made a lot of money doing that. And then I also did newspapers. Like I stuffed inserts into the newspapers at night. But then my first W-2 was working at Perkins. And I made hella money working at Perkins. Like all my customers loved me. And then when I graduated from high school, they all brought me like checks. I was able to buy a car.
That's awesome. That's so interesting. So I started working really young too. My dad was an engineer. He got laid off from his job at Honeywell, had to start a landscaping business because he didn't know what else to do. But he's like, I know how to mow yards. And I got hired as a 9-year-old to help him on the weekends. And that's kind of where I got my work ethic is 6 a.m. every Saturday and Sunday, get to go to work with dad.
Damn.
Yeah. The stuffing the inserts was actually at like midnight. And then we would start like as soon as the paper would get printed and like dropped, I would be in the back of like the van rolling around, like stuffing the inserts and then throwing it to the front of the van as we're like driving through the hundreds of houses to throw the paper in the driveway.
That's amazing.
Oh, the first few times I lost my cookies, but then eventually I got used to it.
Wow.
Aviva, what was your...
I got my start. My true first job was when I was 18, and I worked in the food hall at my college for $7.25 an hour. And then I was a waitress for like, I guess I was 18 till maybe 25.
Oh.
I'll be honest, I grew up with a silver spoon shoved in my mouth. But my parents always told me that I was never going to amount to anything because I had everything. And that gave me this fire that that was not ever going to happen. And so I appreciate that because I love working. I love what we do. And I really empathize with people who don't love what they do and don't love working because it's so fun to wake up every day and just put one foot in front of the next, even when it's not glamorous.
I was listening to another podcast, this guy named Patrick David, and it was funny because they were mentioning some service experiences that they had. And one of the guys on the podcast said, any person that is in service, their very next job should be in sales because you have those tendencies. You know how to take care of people. I think he actually said if you were a good server, you should go into sales. But it's like those two mesh so well together. And
They do.
Especially.
I loved testing it. I noticed that like I could not mess with tables, but I learned when I was serving that there were ways that I could say things that would get them to do something we would have a special and we would have competitions for who could sell the most of the specials.
Yes, we had competitions at Perkins too. I remember. Yes.
And I just totally got off on figuring out how to sell better than everybody else. And it was just funny to figure out your whatever worked and then like triple down on it and just run laps around the other servers. It was I loved it.
I got to hostess some and we were selling these calendars for Give Kids the World. And, if I sold the most amount of calendars, I would get like some kind of bonus like as well. Like, but it was doing good. The money was going to go to Give Kids the World. It was a great foundation. I found the page in the calendar that had been drawn by a kid using a straw. Like they went and like blew the straw and made this straw art. So I'm just like, do you want to help? Like this kid had no arms and they did this painting using like a straw. And I sold the most amount. Sounds terrible. Awesome. But you figure out the one thing and then, one of my best clients comes because I have a service background. I started getting my hair done at Mosaic Hair Studio and Blowout Bar back in 2011. And they were in their first location. That was their first building. Now they have 4 properties. And we're actually developing this like 15,000 square foot thing. But I've been along the journey. But sometimes because I was so busy with work, he'd come in early for me. And I found out Mike, at Mosaic, does not like to come in early. So I found out how he liked to take his coffee. And if he came in early for me to accommodate me working and all this other stuff, that I knew that he liked his coffee with cream and no sugar. And I would bring him a coffee. And I know he's the one providing a service to me. But when I go to the car dealership too, if they do a really good job, I'll bring a dozen donuts to the crew. And let me tell you what, I can get in anywhere easily. And they're like, can you give people courses on how to be a good customer? But it all turned around. Eventually then Mike wanted to buy, he ended up buying the property next to him. I was not his broker. He did that direct, but then he bought another property in 2018. And now we bought some land and now we're developing this whole condo project. But it just came because people remember how you make them feel.
And a little goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah. But just knowing how people like to take their coffee.
Let me ask you, what are your thoughts with closing gifts?
I don't do it anymore. I used to, and what I do is if I have an opportunity to do something that I feel is meaningful, I found out Bomba socks, for every pair of socks that you bought people, that you get another pair of socks. So one year for Christmas, I sent out 100 pairs of socks. I still get texts from people. This was 2016, this 7 years ago. People, and I was I know you're not supposed to give socks as a gift. And that was my closure letter with it. And but I'm going to anyways. And I still get messages from people 7 years later saying they love the socks. So I think if you're going to do a gift for somebody, make sure it's meaningful, or maybe take them out to eat, or make a donation to their charity, is what I've started doing. Or a really cool book. New York Times has 36 hours in different cities. And they also, a cool book is Atlas Obscura. So I'll sometimes give people a book and that has to do with traveling. And I said, I'm so glad to have been a part of your commercial real estate journey. And I'll write it and I'll put a Beyond Commercial Circle sticker inside of it. So then it's there forever. Those are some of the gifts I do. But I used to do wine baskets and stuff, but nobody remembered it.
I think the experience part is important. I even started doing that with my two nephews and niece. The experience versus the stuff. For Christmas, we don't do toys. And I feel the same way. And actually, my mentor was the one that mentioned it. I'm early on, are we supposed to buy them something? What do we do? No, we're taking them out to lunch or we're taking them out to dinner. Really nice dinner. And go that route versus... You know what I mean? You might know them well and you can buy them stuff, but I feel if you're going to buy somebody something cool, it's funny. So Blake Haggett, I really want a Bentley. That's kind of one of my goals. And Blake Haggett from Idaho, one of our friends, he sent me a little model of a Bentley, and it's sitting right across from my desk right now. I think those type of things are really cool for surprise and delight. But closing experience.
Yeah. I tell my friends, and my friends get to know this, is if we're really, really friends, just please don't get me anything for my birthdays or Christmas or anything like that. I just want to spend time with you. I want to do things with you. And then I think about it, if I run across something my best friend, I got her these wine glasses that says, we're going to be friends until we're old, and then we're going to be new friends again. Because you're not going to remember, you're going to go senile or something. And so whenever I go to her house, we put both of the glasses there, and then we both drink wine out of it when I go to her house. But I don't know. What do you think about that, Aviva?
Oh, I'm toggling with it because a lot of the leads I'll get will be from Google, and then we'll close a deal and I will not know anything about this person.
Yep.
And we have a lovely relationship. They live in a different state. And it's I don't know what to get these people. I've done the Harry and David baskets. And I just feel it's just like you said, people just don't care. Maybe somebody I know, I placed a thrift store with client who I have worked with a ton, and I got her this custom sign for the store and she loved it. But my issue is these people I don't know who I want to give, or I don't understand I don't understand why we do it, if we're supposed to do it, if they expect it, if they care. But just, and it, I've just been thinking about it a lot and I don't know the answer.
If you're going to do something, and these are business owners, I would say do a book. Like if you want to mail them something and you don't know them very well, like shout out to Dr. Benjamin Hardy with 10X is easier than 2X. I mean, he sent me a couple boxes of his books and I mailed them out with handwritten letters, and people love that. And then you could write your information like in it, so then they can think about you potentially when they do it, and you've left like a memento.
You know what's funny about that
One
book?
thing to pay attention to too is like, I think the problem is if you give people wine, some people don't drink. So then it's like offensive. I actually have in my Salesforce CRM, I figure out if they want, I have a toggle down red wine, white wine. As I learn information about people, I create a dossier, kind of like when you go to the hair salon, they know your hair formulas. But I can go red wine, white wine, and then also I can check if it's non-drinker. And so if I do want to eventually, let's just say I'm closing like the third, fourth deal with somebody, I know right away, I can look at their profile, and I have an attorney I represent. I know he's very active. He loves going in the outdoors. And I've learned that he's a non-drinker. And like, it's like red alert, make sure like if you are going to do something, don't do a wine basket. So I got him a reusable bag from REI and put a gift card inside of it. And he loved that. So the next time he went like hiking, he was able to get some new stuff. So I don't know, just try to ask questions and try to pick up the different nuggets. I know you're like meeting them from Google, but hopefully they'll come back to you again. And then, cause you just are finishing your second year with the Warehouse Hotline. It's like last year was like a full year, and then this year.
Yeah, exactly.
These people are going to come back. Like, yeah.
And they are. And I'm like, I want to give them a gift, but they're still coming back. I don't know what to get them, but I like the idea of a book. Mm-hmm. Or, I'm thinking about it a lot.
I think the gift is like you give a shit and you've done a really good job for them, and like they wouldn't have gotten that otherwise. And so then if you do eventually get them something, that's great. But I don't want to it almost makes it sound conceited, but it's not. Like you worked really hard and you did a really good job for them, and you got them into a great space.
It's just it's a strange expectation to and I don't think a lot of our clients actually do expect it. Right. A gift, right? Like I don't go to the dentist, get a root canal, and they give me a gift, you know? So I just think I just have been thinking about it a lot. And I think socially it's weird. But if it's expected, I mean, I'm all in, but it's kind of like you said, like this year I've kind of pulled back on the gifts because I kind of felt like people didn't care about the Harry and David baskets. And my clients have been repeat clients just this year without the Harry and David. And I'm like, you're right, Amy. Like they just want to be treated like a human. They just want proper service. That's way bigger than a gift than a Godiva chocolate basket, even though I'll smash a Godiva chocolate basket any day.
Yeah. And definitely don't get somebody branded. I had a vendor of mine who shall remain nameless, but they sent me like a cheese board thing, and it came with some jellies and stuff, but it like had their logo on it. And like, I don't know, like kind of holding out the thing. I don't know. What do you think, Eddie? Do you think that's kind of tacky?
No, I actually like the branding play. I do.
You like the branding play?
Well,
okay.
Everybody's saying so far that they love our logo. So what?
Oh yeah, I do love your logo.
So, and like, side note, quick story. I was hiking the other day. A random stranger came up to me and said, "I see your logo everywhere." And I'm like, "Hey, what's your name?" And she tells me, and we go back and forth, and I'm like, "Are you in commercial real estate?" And she's like, no, I don't know anything about commercial real estate. And she's like, but I see your sign, and then I see your hat, and then I saw something at the gym the other day. So like, I'm giving out stuff like that. And one of our things that we're working on right now is really nice Yeti. You know how everybody has those metal water bottles now? So we're getting some of
Yeah.
those branded and giving those out to clients as well.
Maybe.
I think
Yeah, you know what? You're right. It's probably good. Yeah. I mean, because I give people pens and they like having them at the closing. What was I going to say? Oh, so Aviva, like, yeah. So as you grow and you have your logo and your stuff out there, I remember there's this broker that he consistently closes 30, 40, $50 million a year. He's actually like a solo or practically, and he owns his own portfolio of like, I don't know how many properties, but I met him at this party at Bay Hill, for like the golf course. And these parties are like, whoa, so good. And like, we're drinking margaritas in the backyard, like watching like Tiger Woods, like out there hitting or whatever. And he's like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm Amy Kellinger. And he's like, I don't know who you are. And he's like, what? You're in commercial real estate too? And I'm like, yeah, I'm with Beyond Commercial. And he's like, well, I don't know who the fuck you are, but I know who Beyond Commercial is. This was like 5 years ago. So it's so good to have a good brand. Like, I was like,
Wow.
yeah, that's exactly what he told me. Oh, since then I've done actually Mike, the hairdresser I was talking about, because I got to know him, the guy that I told you I met at Bay Hill. He had competing offers for the same amount, and he took our offer over the other people. He's like, I like you, Amy. So even like other brokers, I think it pays to treat them like a human, not be fake, but just try to be nice and kind to people. It comes back.
I learned that.
Speaking about,
Oh yeah, go
You
Aviva.
go first, Aviva.
guys, I just have to bring this up because it's so crazy and it happened to me yesterday. Speaking about being nice and kind and treating people correctly. LoopNet, I don't know if you've heard of them, reached out to me to collab on some content creation. And I was like, okay, I know who you are. It fits. And yesterday I hopped on a call with them. They wanted me to do content for them in exchange for exposure. And I was like, do you understand how much money I spend a month on LoopNet? Like, I pay that bill and you want me to work for you for free? And what was funny was the person pitching it to me, she couldn't even, like, she wasn't even trying to sell. Like, it was such a bullshit offer that they were trying to give me exposure, that the conversation was pretty quick. And I have toggled whether or not I'm going to talk about it online. But speaking of being treated properly, it's so crazy that a conglomerate like LoopNet would expect people to work for them for free when we're shelling out thousands and thousands of dollars a month. And I think I'm going to say it right now, CoStar and LoopNet will fall. Because their service is not good. It's not about the customers. It's about CoStar and LoopNet and padding their pockets. And I look forward to that day.
Tell Adrian
I'll talk about it online. They recently fucked me over. And I have not talked about this online, but I will go ahead and say what happened is, I have had an agreement in place with them that I could toggle up and down the number of my users as long as I maintain a minimum of 3. And that was our agreement. They've always abided by that agreement. And so like, if I, added extra agents and needed to go down, that I would be able to go toggle down to 3. Well, earlier this year, my transaction coordinator left and my assistant forgot to cancel her. And then we added someone. So we forgot to take the one off, and we could have just traded them out. So but we had the agreement that we could be a minimum of 3. And they said, nope, that doesn't count. It's not part of an addendum. And I'm like, but you guys have been acting on this forever. So they've been basically holding me hostage. I've been having to pay for a 4th license that I haven't been using now for like months and months and months now. But yeah, I'm going to definitely go down to the bare minimum of users next year. And I find it's atrocious too. They only have the one product now and not multiple products, but it's just terrible. And so I'm just spending money on this 4th user that I could be using for different things.
Have you guys played with Cre8 yet?
Aviva. Oh, Aviva's frozen. She's so shocked.
She is shocked.
I'm back. Tell me when we're back.
I can hear you, but you're still frozen.
I
Aviva,
just bought CREi this week.
Did you really?
I've
got my training with them tomorrow at 10 a.m.
I think I have a training with them tomorrow at like 11. That's so funny.
Actually, I just launched a new listing and I have been getting a million like leads from like CREi. I cannot get that listing syndicated over to LoopNet and nobody will call my assistant back either. So no, I agree with you, Aviva. It will eventually. I think that they could do better. You're frozen.
Too big to fail,
okay,
right?
I'm here. And that's
Aviva,
just
I
not
love
reality. Like,
I know. I'm going to take a picture of this.
Oh God. Well, hey, you can't treat people like garbage, and you can't in business, period. It doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter how small you are. Your reputation precedes you, and you are not bulletproof, even if you are the top of your industry. And the internet is going to lead the way. I don't know what point I was making there, but it's November 2023, and I'm calling it. CoStar will not always be the top source for commercial real estate intel online, and I look forward to that day.
I think the last time that someone else tried coming up was Xceligent, and I had a contract with them back in 2007, and CoStar sued them like crazy, and they eventually did end up like falling. But no, I think it just caused a huge amount of indigestion for me to like spend the extra hundreds of dollars for that 4th license, and I was getting no value, and they didn't care. And I had emails, and even the rep that had the agreement with me went to bat for me, but they just said their policies were that they weren't going to do it. And I just thought it just was really shitty. It was very shitty. So
you guys want to hear a fun story?
They're going to love this segment.
Aha.
They are going to love this
Go
segment.
ahead, Eddie.
Do you want to hear a fun story?
Yeah.
Aviva, raise your hand if you want to hear a fun story.
I know, she's like frozen. I got to send her what it looks like. Hold on.
I think it'll be okay. It will be okay in the wash. It's just not going to be the most my glamour moment.
It will come out. It's just stuck. Okay, so we've, for some reason, and tell me if this is the same on your guys' end, it's a revolving door over there. Like, we always have new reps. Every 3 to 6 months, it's a new rep. So we had this kid that calls, and he was very sassy. And he goes, I need to talk to you about this particular building. And I said, okay. And he said, how many units? So we went through the whole program. And he said, what's the cap rate? And I said, it's a vacant building. And he said, I understand. You already told me that. And he said, so what's the cap rate? And I said, so-and-so, it's a vacant building, dude. And he's like, you're not understanding me. And I go, can I give you like some commercial real estate 101 real quick? And he goes, yes, after you tell me the cap rate. And I'm like, bro, it's a vacant building. And he just like,
you're like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So at any rate, he was gone a couple weeks later.
Yeah, well, unless you're one of the big 3, and I think you have to have like a threshold. It's almost like banking at the big banks, like all the small business bankers. It's a revolving door. It is it's very hard to be a small business owner. Like, then you have to, unless you're with like a small community bank, then those people tend to stay there and you have someone that like treats you well. But being a boutique brokerage owner, I have a constant revolving door of my researchers, and I'm just not like they use the small accounts to train these people to kind of bring them up, and they just like throw us brand new people that have no idea what they're doing.
I recently hopped into the world of institutional deals where I had the rude awakening that none of the big brokerages actually share the information with CoStar. So they have no information on the bigger transactions, which makes it kind of useless. But it's just been really eye-opening this year. And I've got horror stories from CoStar that I won't say online. I won't say on a podcast, but I'm waiting to be impressed. I am yet to be impressed, specifically for how expensive the product is.
Well, and I really appreciate like their support of different organizations that I'm involved with. And I know it's not those people, but I think there is a systemic, issue that needs to like be like addressed. And I think just because you're big doesn't mean that you can just do whatever you want to do.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I know. They're kind of like everything I wouldn't do in business, which is ironic because I use them. But
you kind of have to.
My friends, I have I have to leave in 10 minutes. So, Eddie, I want to tell you this question I was talking to Amy about before we hopped on with you. And the question is, if you could buy any iconic commercial real estate property in the world, what would it be? And then the second part to that question is, if you could buy any iconic commercial real estate property in the world, what would it be and what would you do with it?
Oh, man. Well, obviously, I'm never leaving Phoenix. Phoenix is always going to be home base. And there's a building, so it would be here in Phoenix. There's a building in downtown that even before I was in commercial real estate, I would literally just stop and look at it. You can Google it. It's called the Lurs Building. And the most recent plan, it used to be an office building with retail at the base. The most recent plan for it is it's going to get turned into a hotel. What I would do with it is stick with somewhat of that plan, right? So it's already got the retail at the base. I would do hotel in the middle, and then I would take the top portion of it, and I would guess it's 130,000 square feet total. I would take that top part of it and turn that into my residence.
Power move. Amy, what about you?
Did Amy already?
Yeah, that's amazing. I love like Orlando, but we're not super mature, and they're like, I can't say that there's anything that's super, super sexy here that I would be like, oh, I love that property. We have some cool warehouses ones for lease right now, but I thought the Flatiron building in New York, and then actually making it like the Continental, like in John Wick, and making it so that there is actually a Continental. That'd be cool.
What about you, Aviva?
Sick. Okay. So like
Have you guys seen all John Wicks, by the way?
No.
Oh my God. I've seen all 4 now. And I've seen them all multiple times. It's like, wow. Can you blow more people up? It's amazing. So go ahead, Aviva.
In line with what Eddie said, like I am such a Denver kid. I'm never leaving. I would love to buy Denver International Airport and turn it into just this like epic retail, essentially what it is without the airport element. maybe like at sports or like fun experiential things. And then probably, okay, Eddie, yes.
Eddie has a
Thank
question.
you for raising your hand.
Are you going to keep the alien aspect of it?
Oh,
Are you gonna
hell
play with
yeah.
it?
Aliens can
Like,
stay. Oh, yeah.
Are you going to show us them?
They
Because they're
are,
under there.
the airport already does play with it. It's actually very funny. There's always construction in DIA, but there's signs everywhere being like, is it construction or is it a lizard tunnel? Like, it's actually very funny. They have fun with it. I don't think it really is an
Do you have any
underground
aliens in Phoenix or just in Denver?
Google the Phoenix.
Is it
Eddie
a
is
West?
an alien.
I am an alien. It's true. Google the Phoenix lights. It'll blow your mind. I saw it with my own eyes.
Hey, the weather's warm in Phoenix. I get it why the aliens would go down there.
Hmm.
I like that.
Orlando's kind of boring in that respect. So, yeah.
That's fair. Okay, my friends, this has been really fun.
This has been fun. Yeah.
I ironically am going to a gun range with my co-star rep, which is funny because I was just talking shit about him. But this is what we do
What do you
here.
shoot?
Well, my co-star rep's got some cool ARs, and I got a Glock, so just try to learn how to protect myself. Don't come after me. So, I know that's kind of controversial.
I got my concealed.
It's the world we live in.
And there's a shoot street right down the road from me. What about you, Eddie?
We don't have to do. Yeah, we don't have to get concealed permits anymore in Arizona. You can conceal without a permit. And I've got a couple handguns, couple shotguns, a lot of my grandfather's old guns. We've got in my parents' house in a safe, but we've got some cool stuff.
Yeah, I only have one. I got a few years ago. Yeah, cool.
Hey, it's
All right,
unfortunate
do you want to close it out, Eddie? Oh, good.
Oh no, it's just that's the world we live in. We have to protect ourselves in this industry, in this world, and yeah, that's the way.
Speaking of protecting, let's share like a helpful thing. Does anybody have this app, Forewarn?
Mm-mm.
No.
So this is amazing. It's like $10 or $20 a month. So let's just say, let's put my phone number in here and then search. And so then it shows all these people coming up, and I don't mind pulling up myself. Probably it's going to show my address, but I'll cover that up. But it shows like I have like a speeding ticket, like in yellow. That's the only thing I have. But when you get a weird feeling about someone on the phone, it was like 2003. When you get a weird feeling about something, one time I had someone who had a attempted murder. And I've had other people. So I would say a tip if you have listings is first of all, Beth Azor says this: if you have a property, book your prospects back to back to back to back, like those that you're showing. Creates urgency, also makes it a safer environment. Back your car in. The other thing I would say to do is, if somebody's unrepresented, I used to ask them for their driver's license because, you have to give a driver's license to drive a car, test drive a car. Why wouldn't I just tell them it's for insurance purposes, but now I have this Forewarn app and I don't need it. But anyone unrepresented, I always use this app before going out.
Smart.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. It's super smart.
Yeah, so check it out. But so Eddie, do you want to close this out?
You close. I got to open. Dude.
All right. Thank you for everybody tuning in today, and we'll catch you the next time. This is Amy, Eddie, and Aviva signing off.